Alright, it's Henry again, and this is my review of my scratch-built 1:100 scale Pisces. Alright, so this is the Pisces, and this is what it looks like before paint. So, most of my other Oz project kits have been based on pre-existing model kits, like the Leos being based on Tall Geese, for example. But Pisces here is 100% scratch built, so the only really the only pre-existing parts I used were these two little circular details on the chest, and then the joint parts for the claws and the hips and the shoulders, and that's about it. Everything else was made completely by hand. So anyway, made pretty much all out of ply plate and epoxy putty, and like I said, the little plastic joints I used as well. Didn't use any metal parts for Pisces, so did as much as I could with ply plate, and then some of these more rounded curvy parts I had to go in and add some putty to make those work. Putty just was a lot more practical than ply plate in those cases. So anyway, this is what it looks like unpainted, so let me take a break here, get this guy painted up, and we'll continue on with the review from there. Okay, so after a nice paint job, this is what the Pisces ends up looking like. Went with the standard color scheme, kind of a blue-green color for most of it, with a light gray on the shoulders and on the legs and the feet, even on the ends of the forearms there. Did the claws in silver, and did a little bit of medium gray for all the joint parts, the little circular details on the chest, vents down inside the chest. Did a little clear acrylic jewel, shaped that into a square, and sanded that down, smoothed it off, gave it a nice gloss top coat for the camera eye. And overall, I'm really happy with the way it turned out. It's not perfect. There's a few things already that I think I could have done differently, like these bicep armors. I think I could have shaped those up a little bit better, but the kit's finished, so what are you going to do? As far as decals go, I basically just used white caution markings left over from various master grades, as well as some of my Tall Geese project decals that I got from Samuel here. If I can get the camera to focus in on it, a Oz 09 MMS there on the chest, and then the big Oz decals. I did one of those on each leg, and you can see detail on the bottom of the feet. There's the back, not really much to see there. But yeah, overall, I'm actually really happy with the way that turned out. Shape-wise, I think it looks pretty darn good. Articulation-wise, I think it actually turned out okay as well, which is actually the next part of the review, articulation. So, the torso has almost no articulation whatsoever. That's just Pisces design. A lot of Oz mobile suits really don't have necks at all. Pisces is one of those included. As you can see, the head is just part of the whole torso assembly. So obviously no head movement. There is waist movement, but just because of the shape of the waist, see if I can zoom in on this. As you can see how the torso sits down into that waist section right there, it really prohibits very much left or right movement at all. Really, all that's good for is the transformation. We're going to pull that out, and then it'll be able to rotate. So, not a lot of waist rotation at all. So, like I said, torso movement is pretty much nothing. Arms are actually the complete opposite. The arms have quite a bit of posability. I've got one of those nice hobby-based ball joints for the shoulder, and I was afraid that these arms were going to be so big and so heavy that it wouldn't be able to hold them up, but I'm pleased to say that the shoulder joints are nice and tight and don't have any problems at all, despite the arms. Both arms together probably weigh more than the whole rest of the body. And these hobby-based ball joints are actually holding up pretty well. They were a little bit loose before I painted it, but after I painted this guy, no weight issues with the arms whatsoever. So those are on a ball joint. Those can rotate 360. They can go in and out a little bit, not a whole lot. As far as movement in the arms, let's see. I've got, basically, he's just got a really, really gigantic elbow joint. The elbow joint is literally like this big. It's up under this gray panel here. You can kind of see it right there. Is a joint here, and then a joint down connecting the forearm. This giant double jointed elbow. And that's going to be able to, see if I can move this, go all the way back there, again, part of the transformation. And this bicep armor is on a little hinge joint, so that's going to go up, and the arm can move forward about that far. The elbow joint, move these little gray panels out of the way, can straighten out to go completely straight, and then it can bend a little bit less than 90 degrees. You get almost a full 180 with the whole arm kind of curved forward like that, with the giant elbow joint fully bent, just about 180. The claws, I'm actually pretty proud of. These were done with kotobukiya joints. Let's see if I can get the camera to actually focus on what I'm trying to show you here. Anyway, originally I was thinking of just making two sets of claws, a set of open propeller claws and then a set of closed claws like these. But I got to thinking, you know, kotobukiya makes these little T-joints, and they're just small enough they may work, and turns out they did. So each one of these little claw fingers is posable. It can open and close, and they can actually rotate as well, but they're kind of tight, so I don't like to rotate them very much, but they go up and down just fine. And then this whole claw assembly can rotate as well. And yeah, actually the claws are probably the part of the articulation that turned out the best, surprisingly. Even though they are kind of fragile, these little tiny kotobukiya joints, man, they are a nightmare to put together. Just cutting them off their little runners and assembling them together, they're so small, it really is a gigantic headache to put those together. But once they're in place, they seem to be doing just fine. Alright, now onto the legs. Let me see if I can move. Oh, there's a joint in the arm I forgot about. I added a rotation joint mid-elbow, so he has some rotation below the shoulder there as well. Really, if all these armor panels weren't there, it could go 360, but with all the armor panels, it's just going to go back and forth like so. Let's see if I can move these arms out of the way. The legs, the hips are on the same exact ball joints that the shoulders are on, so they can go up pretty darn far if I could just maneuver around these arms. So yeah, really nice forward and back movement for the hips. In and out is not really much to brag about. I mean, it's going to go out about that far, not a whole lot, just because of these blocky, square-shaped thighs. That's just the way Pisces is. The knee joints can bend about 90 degrees, like so. Got that just a scratch-built joint there made out of pla plate, so about 90 degrees of bend there. The ankles are also on hobby-based ball joints. I kind of put the ball joint inside a little box and then attached the toes to that box. So you've got some rotation side to side, and you've got some this kind of side to side. There you go. And then the front toes, actually, I'll show you on the bottom. I've got two pegs coming out of this part, and the front toes and the back toes, I guess you would call them, are each on a polycap, so they can go up and down, and they can actually rotate back and forth as well. Sorry, my camera isn't wanting to focus too good on this. The current camera I'm using has really good picture quality, but the autofocus is not too great. Hopefully I'll be fixing that around Christmas time with a new camera. So anyway, that does it for articulation. Next up is the weapons and accessories portion of the review, which will go very, very quickly because this is the only accessory that I made for Pisces. like I said in the work in progress video, I think they used it maybe twice in the show, this little claw. Down inside the big claws, there's a small hole. Probably can't see it, but the small claw fits inside the big claw. Just peg it into that hole, and there you go. Just for small detail stuff whenever he needed to grab something small on the ocean floor that he couldn't grab with these larger claws. Have this little guy. And you can just pull that back out and put it away. So that does it for the one and only accessory. Now to get to the good part, the transformation. Alright, now Pisces transformation isn't really all that complicated at all, but this is the first time I've scratch built a transforming mobile suit, so let's hope it works out the way it was intended to. I'll tell you what, I'm going to take these arms off just for the sake of convenience, and we'll go ahead and transform them first. So, you've got the arm here in mobile suit mode, and pretty much the arm's going to come up. The forearm will straighten out like so. These little gray panels are going to sort of go down to the side. Bicep panel will go down in place, and there you go. Now you also have to do the ends of the propeller claws here. Anyway, I said that these little claws could rotate around, but honestly it's easier just to pull them out and put them back in place, rotated. So basically those are going to rotate a bit and then fan out, and now they are in propeller mode. And the arm is now done. It's not completely streamlined, but I guess it looks okay. So now let's transform the rest of the body. So we're going to straighten out these legs like so, and the torso is going to come out from the waist a bit, and it's going to rotate just 90 degrees like so. And basically that's how it's going to go. The toes will point down, straighten those out a bit. Now originally in the show and the line art, I think the feet were supposed to go up inside the thighs a little bit. Not the thighs, the fore legs, lower legs a little bit. Honestly, my scratch building engineering skills aren't up to snuff for that task, so that didn't quite get done, but you know, for what it is, I think it looks alright. And then the arms will simply pop back on into place, and there we go. And that is pretty much your Pisces submersible mode. Let's see if I can back up and show this to you. There you go. Now right off the bat you can see there are some proportion problems with the submersible mode. Obviously in real life this isn't going to work because the propellers are knocking up all against the legs. Either the forearms would have to be made quite a bit longer by several centimeters, or the legs would have to be made quite a bit shorter. And doing either one of those things would have made for a really awkward looking Pisces in mobile suit mode. And since I was more concerned with how he looked in mobile suit mode rather than submersible mode, I just decided to go with it like this, because I'm not going to be displaying him in submersible mode anyway. And before we wrap up the review, I did want to do a few comparisons. Here's Pisces compared to Cancer in submersible mode. They actually make a pretty good looking pair. And here's Pisces and Cancer compared in mobile suit mode. So there you go. Cancer obviously being the much smaller of the two. And here's a comparison with my Oz Project Leo. As you can see, Leo and Pisces are both about the same height. And one of my more recent kits, the 1 to 100 scale high grade Wing Zero. Alright, so that about does it for my review of the 1 to 100 scale Pisces. There's a lot of things I like about this kit, and then again, there's also some things that could use improvement. I really like the overall look of the kit. I think proportionately it looks pretty good. Not perfect. There's a few places where the proportions are a little bit off, like in the legs and the torso a bit. There are things that I really like detail-wise. I think the claws turned out really well. In fact, I think the claws and the legs are my two favorite parts. I said the legs had a little bit of proportion problems, but I really like how the articulation and the details in the legs turned out. I think the legs look really, really nice, and they're articulated very, very well. The articulation of the kit in general is actually one of the better parts of it because although his posability isn't great, he's very, very sturdy. The how do I phrase it? Sturdiness to posability ratio, I guess, for Pisces is the best out of probably any of my Oz Project kits because Virgo and Virgo 2, well, Virgo was plenty sturdy, but he was so tight that he's like a brick. He can't move at all. Virgo 2 has crippling weight issues. Mercurius and Vey 8 are so unstable that they just fall apart at the slightest provocation, although their posability is pretty good. Leo and Leo space type were where the improvements really started to come along. They're actually relatively sturdy and actually very, very posable. Cancer is relatively good. He doesn't have a lot of posability just because of his design, but his stability is also halfway decent. But Pisces, I think, is even better than the Leos in terms of stability. All the joints are nice and tight, but none of them are so tight that they're immovable. And I just think the articulation in general turned out really well. So if anything, if any part of this kit is considered a success to me, it would be the articulation of the kit. There are a few little problems. Like I said, the submersible mode has some proportion issues. Doesn't look quite as good as it should. Like these little bicep armors, I said I could have done a better job on. But overall, really, those are my only two main complaints right there, just the bicep armor and the submersible mode. The colors, I really like that shade of blue-green. I think I got the colors pretty anime accurate on this guy, so I think that turned out nicely. And the decals also turned out really, really nice. Hardly any decal issues at all as far as silvering or anything like that goes, so I think the decals turned out well. So that about does it for this review, and with that, I'll see you guys next time.